How's it going, everybody? I'm Drifty, and this quick tutorial for RPG developer Bakin. I'm going to show you how to make a cutscene. In this example, I'll show you the cutscene that I'm doing for the intro to a game jam game that I'm working on for the Drifty Jam V4. At the beginning, it just scrolls in. We've got this big sprite here, and he's got some text, and the text plays to intro the game for whoever is looking at it so they have an idea what's going on. Of course, you can do whatever you want. After a certain point, the camera scrolls to an old man, and you look at him for a couple seconds, and he tells you something, and then you move on, and then the camera zooms in like this. And we're going to get rid of this sprite, and I'm going to go over the event and everything to show you how to make all of that happen. The first thing we're going to look at is the camera tool, which is on the left-hand side. I'm just going to go over the things you need to know. I'm not going to go over everything because I'll be here all day. So inside the camera view, what you're going to do is click on add, and that's going to add a new camera. In this case, I've already got them set up, so I don't have to waste too much time doing that. You click on add, you give it a name, and then you click on it over here, and it'll jump to that camera, and you'll just have one frame in here. The first thing that you saw was this camera right here, and it zoomed in to this guy. Boom. Big dude. There you go. And it's very simple. It looks like there's a lot on the screen. Very, very simple. You basically, the gist of it is you make the camera look like what you want. And I'm going to add another image here to give you an example. You move it around with right click, and that's how you change the angle of things. And middle click will move the position. So the right click is going to change your angle, and your middle click is going to move the position. And the zoom level will be the middle mouse scrolling. Scrolling in and out is pretty easy to change your zoom. And all we're going to do is add a new frame and then change what it looks like. And then we're going to decide how long do we want it to stay there. Pure and simple. So right now I've messed up the end. It's probably somewhere off. It's fine, right? So what we're going to do is move it to where we want it to be, zoom into the exact level where we want the camera to come to its final spot, and that's where that frame's at. If we wanted to do more and move it some more, we can. We're going to click add frame, and then we're going to click on this one. And then we can move this one around like so. Then it'll go from this previous frame to that frame. And to determine how long you want that to happen, you look at frame number right here. So this is going to be for 1 second because it's 60 and we're running in 60 FPS. So you've got 60 frames where it's going to be on this going to this one. And then the same thing is right here. The start frame represents how many frames in the entire sequence and what frame you're on in the entire sequence. And the bottom one, the frame number, represent how many frames each section is going to take. So from here to here, it's a second. From here to here, it's another second. And then we're going to have a half a second. And then this is set to 1. Whenever you add a new frame, it'll be 1, which is not long enough at all. So we're going to change this to be another half a second. And then over here, you don't need to add a frame number to your final frame because that's where the camera is going to end at. So this is what it ends up looking like now. And you see how it jumped across kind of fast like that? There's another thing you can turn on called spline interpolation. And basically all that's going to do is make it not so jittery jumping across. So now we've added a frame to this and we've modified it a little bit to make it look a little bit different. And if we go in the game and look at it, you'll see that he moves to the left. Boom. So there you go. That's how you do that part. Now, that's just the camera. You still have to make an event that's going to display that camera. We're going to take a look at this event by double-clicking on it. Or you can click on Placed List and find it and double-click on it here. Or you can single-click on it and click on this little E right here for event. If it shows a face, that means it's an object that hasn't been converted to an event yet. We'll get into that stuff later. Sometimes, there's a little bug, this will be all the way down and you won't even see it. So, you might want to bring that up if it does that. Right here, this is the page that we're on, the event sheet, and it's got no conditions, so it's going to stay here. This graphic is going to stay here. So if we wanted to get rid of it, all we have to do is set a condition for it to be there and add a switch to turn it off when we want to. So we'll do that by going to variable box and select a switch, add one if there's not one here. I say switch, but it's a variable, and a switch could be a variable that's just using 0 and 1. It's fine. So what we're going to do is say, as long as this switch is equal to 0, show this event and this picture. All you have to do is turn on switch tutorial 1, and it will make it so that it doesn't meet the conditions of this page and it will turn off this event. So the sprite will disappear. Very simple. Now moving on to the trigger, we've got where the event starts, and I've chosen to make it automatically start and only once because it's our intro. You're going to have the camera play and some text. We're going to click on the plus sign and we're going to find camera playback. If you go over into the plus sign, left click it, and you click on cameras, you'll see camera playback. And when you click on that, it's going to open this up. So what you're going to do here is select from the drop-down menu the new camera that we created in the camera tool and click wait to complete. If you want the camera to zoom and still allow the player to continue or the event to continue, you can uncheck wait to complete as well. But since I want the camera to zoom in and then start the next process, we're going to turn on the wait. We've got a bunch of text dump, blah, blah, blah. This is a game jam game I'm working on. Then after that happens, we're immediately doing the same thing again. We're saying from that camera, now go to this camera. It's running the old man camera. And I'll show that to you real quick. Here's the old man camera. It's in the middle of the text. After we do the first dump, we press play and it goes over here and boom, zooms into that man. Back in the event, that's where this old man camera playback happens. And even though we're saying wait to complete, the camera ends as soon as it reaches that old man. We want it to stay on him a little bit longer in this case because we're bringing context. We're saying you can do this by going to this old man. So we're putting in a simple wait, and you can find that under control, wait specified time. You can specify how long you want that wait to be there. If you accidentally add something you don't want in there, just select it by right-clicking it and then delete it, and then it's gone. We're going to wait a couple seconds, then we're going to display another message, and then we're going to play one more camera. In this instance, I've allowed the player to walk around while the camera is moving, but we need to do one more thing because we don't want this sprite to keep playing, so we're going to use a switch to just simply turn it off. After the last message, while this is playing, we're going to turn off this big sprite by doing a variable box control. We're going to do a variable box assignment and calculation. We're going to select the switch tutorial, and we're simply going to turn a switch on. And now that this switch is on, it's going to disable the ability for this to continue to run or even be here. However, because it is still running and it's told to run once, which will completely run once, even though at this point it doesn't meet the conditions to run, it's still going to execute the rest of the event and then it's going to disappear. So it should play camera 1 and then disappear. And just to be sure that's happening, let's take a look at camera 1 to see what it's doing. It's kind of just zooming left and right and showing off the map, but we don't want this sprite to be here, and this sprite will no longer be here because we turn the switch on that controls the event. So let's test play and make sure it works right. We zoom in, it says, boom, that's our new added. He moves to the left. You know what? That wasn't my original idea, but I'm going to keep it. I like it. He does his text, yada, 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 and then he's going to zoom in to the old man. Woof, bam. And then it waits a couple seconds. He says, good luck. And then you can see the Drifty sprite is gone now, and it moves in for that final camera. And we were able to move. I didn't have my controller in my hand, but we would have been able to move while that was going on. I've got more camera events in here, but that's pretty much it. That's all you really need to know on how to make a cutscene. You pick a target and you just move the camera around. So cameras are pretty simple. This is a super cool tool that you can use in this engine, and I really love it. If you want to change the target to not be the player or to be a specific event, because you're not always going to be looking at the player, the point that you're going to be looking at is by changing the gazing target. That's one little point that you might need to look at. But that's about it. So hopefully you guys liked this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Come hang out with us on the Discord, links in the description below. Love you guys very much. We'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.